Hello, I'm AJ,
I'm Alex.
and this is NTVN New Tech Vintage Nerds. Today we're going to talk about weather stations, if we can get to it. But first, what did you print this week?
What didn't I print this week?
Yeah, the same.
So this printer has been on the job for the complete week. It has been busy, but it wasn't productive. I was actually printing a flexible filament called TPU, or well, sort of rubber thingies. Um, and The good thing about that is it's very flexible. The bad thing about that stuff is that it
It's
prints very,
flexible.
very slow, very, very slow.
Hmm.
So even for a Bamboo Labs, it still is, I don't know, 20 to 50 millimeters a second. So you're really one small print is 2-3 hours.
Oh, wow.
So what
So,
did I print? I printed actually little feet for a table support,
okay.
little rubber feet.
Okay. Rubber feet. Nice. That's the only thing. Well, it was slow, so.
Yeah, well, I printed some Gridfinity stuff. I printed some extension cables, hooks. I printed a bat holder or print plate holder for the Bamboo Labs. Whatever. What else did I print? I printed new brackets for the replacement MacBook that I got from my employer.
Mhm.
Because this was a different generation and the old brackets didn't fit anymore. So yeah, it's been busy.
Yeah. Well, I had the same thing. I printed, obviously, a lot of Gridfinity stuff. I printed an iPad stand. For those watching, it's an iPad stand. Um, I printed a bit holder. I got a gazillion bits for my screwdriver. So now it's organized. I print a lot of stuff to store filament instead of only using it. So it's now the humidity is kept low. That way, the prints will succeed more often. And I printed a Statue of Liberty, a small one.
Why?
Well, why not?
Fair point.
The print was excellent. It with the spikes of the statue on the head of the lady. The problem was I printed it with support, with tree support, and when I removed the support, well, the
The spikes
torch,
broke.
yeah, the torch fell off. The
Oh,
spikes didn't, but the torch.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a bit of shame.
yeah. I had stuff like that as well. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Well, now that's out of the way. Weather stations.
Weather station. What about it? You can look
Well,
outside. You know the weather.
um, yes, but I use a weather station. Actually, I use the weather to control a lot of stuff in my house.
No,
When
you
the sun
you
shines,
use weather sensors.
yes, no, well, it depends on if it rains and I left the windows open. But yeah, you're
So
correct.
let's quick rewind. Why would you want to have a weather station?
I want a weather station, or actually, I want to know. Well, I don't want to know. I don't care. My house needs to know what the weather is so it can act on the different conditions. If the sun shines, if it rains, that all triggers different states in the house or automations. For example, when the sun shines, I want the screens to close when the inside temperature is higher than a certain amount of Celsius. I don't want it always because in the winter I want the warmth of the sun, and in summer I already have enough warmth in the house. My shiny personality, as well as the heat of the sun. I want the screens to open when the wind starts blowing harder than an X amount of kilometers per hour. Um, but if the sun shines, I still want the inside window dressing down so the temperature gets more controlled than when they're open.
The blinds.
The blinds, yeah. I want a lot of sensors to do a lot of stuff. I want to measure everything because if you measure it, you can act on it. So the same with the weather.
Do you
It's
store the data?
yes, I do.
What's the use?
That's exactly why I said I do. I store it, but I hardly go back and look at the data.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the first things I noticed when I thought of when I was actually not when I installed the weather station because I mean I just put it outside on a pole and put the internal sensors somewhere, and then they just start measuring, and
Yeah,
well, that's it basically. And it's got a history function, but I don't really care. But when I started to tinker with InfluxDB and Grafana to create dashboards that hang around the house here, I was like, why would I store weather data longer than a week? What would be the use?
yeah, exactly.
And I couldn't think of one, so I decided to let the InfluxDB database toss everything after I think 14 days. So just to be sure, I store it for 2 weeks, but that's it. And it's
Yeah,
mainly to check on things like humidity in the garage, or I don't know.
yeah. I do the same. I store it for an X amount of time. I don't even remember how long it's being stored, but the usefulness of the data is low. I
Fairly
mean,
limited.
I can create a dashboard that shows what the weather was last week, but since I use it mainly for controlling the house,
Why would I care?
yeah, exactly. The only thing I could think of is that you can predict what the weather is going to do based on past information. But
And and
yeah,
still and still.
yeah,
So you've got a new weather station
yeah.
because
I had an old one.
you had one before, but you bought a new one.
Yeah.
Why did you buy a new one? Was the old one not good?
Um, well, I had to change batteries, so that's not good.
Fair
Eh,
point, but
I
okay.
mean, I notice with myself that when I use sensors with batteries inside, I have to change the batteries. That's not a problem, but I tend to not do that, and then my sensors die. And then I think, well, that sucks.
Now that you mentioned that, I think I have to look into if I do not have any sensors that dropped off the grid because I forgot to swap the batteries. But
Yeah,
I'll do that after the recording.
I got a tile in Home Assistant that shows me that batteries when they're empty and which sensors are no longer responding. I must admit the list is getting longer.
I do get a pop up from Homey, I think, but I tend to forget about them then. It's just
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, I have to swap the batteries. Yeah,
uh,
I'll
exactly.
I'll I'll do that
Yeah. Uh huh. Sure.
in the weekend or so, and then
Yeah.
I've when the weekend is there, then I've long forgotten what I wanted to do with the batteries.
Yeah.
Anyway, so your new weather station doesn't have a battery.
Um, at the moment, it does, and the sensors do have batteries. So yeah, I know I have to change them. Although there are sensors that have a wire that you can put into a socket, so they can get power from mains. But this one, the weather station itself, has a solar panel in it with a
Oh,
capacitor,
yeah.
um, and batteries as backup,
All right.
as well as a wired connection. So you can heat it in the winter and because of the rain and wind. And obviously, I didn't know, but you have to heat the thing because otherwise it freezes. Yeah, I think some parts freeze and the metrics don't correlate to the weather anymore. And
You you have
yeah,
to heat your weather station. That's the
yeah,
first time I hear that.
yeah. I'm not sure if that's because the way the rain sensor works or if that's regular. But if you put it up on a pole high in the sky, it's colder there, it's windy there,
Yeah, that's the
things get
general. That's the general idea why they're up.
yeah, things tend to freeze more quickly.
Okay.
And electronics, you can put electronics in a freezing environment, but that's not good for batteries. That's not good for sensors. So you gotta heat them.
Right. Okay. So apparently you have to heat. So I mean, I've learned something new already. How about that? So you bought. What did you buy?
I bought a Ecowitt Wittboy, and the reason that I bought that one is because I want to have the data locally. I mean, cloud for our daily job, we do a lot of things with cloud, but I despise everything home automation related that you can only control through a cloud. And yes, you can control it locally if you got an app and it connects to the cloud service and then it pings back. But that that sucks. I don't want it.
Oh, it all works until it doesn't.
Exactly. And for something that I use to control my screens, when it when the wind blows more than 8 before, I don't know how much that in kilometer is. The screens have to go up, otherwise they will blow off the house. I don't want that.
No, they're quite expensive.
Yeah, and if something is wrong with the internet connection because it's windy, I mean, all the airwaves will blow out. No, just kidding. Um, so if the
There goes
internet
my
connection,
internet.
yeah, exactly. Now, if the internet connection goes out, then my home assistant doesn't control the screens anymore, and that sucks if it's windy and things get pulled out from the house.
Oh, you could work around that. You could state that if it's no longer, if it no longer has any weather data, that it should pull up the blinds anyway.
Yeah, but then if it happens on a sunny day, then the screens go up. It's getting hot in the house. I don't want that either.
No, but if the alternative would be that your screens would be blown away, then
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why I don't like cloud services for these kind of things.
so an Ecowitt
Yeah, Ecowitt Wittboy.
Wittboy
Yeah, that's a 7-in-1 weather station with
7.
7-in-1. It does rain, solar,
2,
UV,
3,
humidity,
4,
temperature,
5,
pressure.
6.
What the beep is the last one? There's 7.
Okay, there are 7. We just don't know the seventh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Oh
fine.
man, that's annoying. I'm gonna find out. Weather Wittboy. Wittboy.
Yeah, boy.
New 7-in-1 weather station. Where are you? UV index, rain gauge,
Ooh.
temperature, humidity, wind direction,
Wind
or
direction. There we
wind
go.
speed, and
That was
solar radiation.
yeah. Of course, you've got wind strength and wind direction.
Yeah. So that's the 7-in-1. It's a big boy. It's a Wittboy. You can put you can put it on a pole, and then it measures everything.
It measures everything. Yeah, well, it's that.
The seven things actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how what are your experiences up to now?
I like it. I would even say I love it. It's easy. There is a cloud component, but you can choose to use that or put the data into a local system. Push it to Home Assistant. And the ease of use is fabulous. You buy a new sensor. That's one of the rabbit hole things I was going to talk about. You buy a sensor and you say you put a battery in it or you put the plug in the wall, and it registers with your weather station. It can tweak it obviously and
Okay.
calibrate it, but it just works. It almost looks like some other brand with an apple on it as a logo. It just works.
It just works.
Yeah, and it's great. It updates. I think every second or every 7 seconds.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's really good.
So so I've got a Netatmo
Yeah, I had that as well.
still. That updates every 10 minutes, if I recall correctly.
That's not often.
Um, and
Yeah,
it's cloud dependent.
yeah.
I can't approach the sensors locally at all, which is
Oh,
well
that's annoying.
quite annoying in my book. Um, Also, which is also quite annoying, they've changed the authentication mechanism for the API a couple of times now in the past 3-4 years. I think two times.
Okay.
So all my automation based on the reading of the data and the data coming into Homey, then suddenly stops, and some stuff then stops working.
Yeah.
I'd have to say I don't have a lot depending on weather sensors currently. I think the rain sensor warns me in combination with if my roof light is open
Yeah.
summer and it starts to rain, then it sends me a pop up saying you've got your window open.
Yeah.
Um, don't think I've got any wind related warnings,
Okay.
and no, I don't have any. Not yet, anyway. Not any, I don't have any temperature related warnings as well. I'm planning to do some of those, but first we have to install HVAC into our home,
Oh yeah.
which may be very common in other regions of the world, but over here
It's not.
in the little low country called Netherlands, it is not. We
No.
do not have air conditioning in our homes. We do not have HVAC at all. Well, in the car, yes, but not in your home.
Yeah.
It's slowly coming, I noticed, but still. And if you've ever looked into putting it into your home the after the fact, so after your home has been built, it's quite expensive to get it in, and it can be fairly ugly where you want it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, there you go. Because you get all the hoses and power lines over the wall, and it's not a pretty sight.
Yeah.
So
So
drawbacks. But anyway, that wasn't the topic we were talking
yeah.
about. Well,
You were telling about alerts for temperature. I must admit, I don't do alerting that much. I measure and act on it. So for me, alerting is telling the user, me, that something is wrong or something is above a certain level.
yeah. Well,
For
the roof light that we have is not electrical, so if
yeah, okay,
it's rain,
yeah,
me as my person will need to walk up there and then actually actively close the window because it will not do that on itself. I know that there are automated
hmm
roof lights now.
closers.
This says that this one is a bit older. Will it be replaced? Maybe, probably. They're quite expensive,
Uh,
and it's working fine. So there's no reason really to do it. So probably not. On
yeah,
honestly, but yeah. So that's why I use it for alerting. Other than that, um, I mean, the temperatures are on my dashboard. And based on that, I do some stuff. So, for instance, last couple of days it was quite warm, so the house warms up, and due to the construction of our house, the bedroom tends to heat up quicker than the rest of the house, which is very annoying because, well, I can't sleep when it's hot in the bedroom.
yeah,
So we have a mobile HVAC system there, but that depends on me opening the balcony door, tossing out the hose, and then switching on the HVAC.
yeah,
So that's also like a manual action, which will also be removed once we have it in place. Anyway, la la
yeah,
la.
yeah, yeah,
But it's up on the dash, and I mean I'm pointing there because one of the dashboards is actually over there. And I can tell you that the current bedroom temperature is 26.3, which is warm but not very hot, so that's fine. But I do use it as a guide. When you walk around and you see it's been hot throughout the day, and then you see in the evening that the tile with the temperature is still orange because that's based on the temperature uh,
yeah,
that it measures. Then I can walk up and open the balcony doors, maybe switch on the HVAC or whatever.
yeah,
So for that, it's very useful. Then again, that is an indoor sensor, and there are lots of indoor sensors, so they're not. It's not really related to the weather
no.
station.
Well,
Um,
actually, Ecowitt does have internal sensors. I'm not going to say that you need to buy Ecowitt or that you don't, but it's a whole ecosystem at itself. That they,
that's a
uh,
rabbit hole.
yeah, that's why it's a rabbit hole. I mean, it's a brand that's I think it's being created or built in China, and they put a different label on that for a lot of different manufacturers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they have a gateway. I'm pointing at my gateway. You can't see it. There's a gateway there that also has an internal sensor for the temperature. You plug it into a USB uh, power outlet, and then it will tell. It will connect to the weather station, and then you can push it to the cloud or into your own system.
So, why did you end up at Ecowitt?
That was your fault. Yeah, you talked about Ecowitt, and I thought, well, that's interesting. So I started researching it, and I found that there was a lot of information available because it's a brand that's being copied or cloned to different brands. You probably heard from you probably know the system, but from a different vendor. And there's a lot of information on all these different branches of the products, and how you can configure it, how you can clone it, how you can calibrate it, what you can measure with it, which connector or which sensor connects to which weather station.
It can actually
Probably,
do quite a lot.
yeah,
It can measure. You've got sensors that measure soil temperature, soil
yep,
humidity. It's
yep,
they're the ones that you put in pots or in the ground,
yeah.
or
I've
if
two
you've
of
got
them already.
well, there you go. If you've got a vegetable garden, you can monitor that. I think they have water sensors as well. So if you've got a pond or a
Yep,
swimming pool,
yeah.
you
They
can.
have water sensors. They have a lightning sensor.
Oh,
Uh,
interesting.
like I said, the soil moisture and the soil temperature.
What would be the use of a lightning sensor? I wonder. Other than curiosity.
Um, well, yes, curiosity, but also if you do a lot of outdoor activities at your home,
Yeah,
you
maybe.
know
Yeah.
when it's getting there, how far it's away.
And in the old days, I mean, I don't know if that was a thing elsewhere in the world, but in the old days, when it would start, when you would have a thunderstorm, we would switch off the TV and unplug it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't think people do that anymore.
I'm not sure. I don't do that anymore.
No, me neither.
And for some things, I have special lightning filters, like the outdoor Wi-Fi access point has a lightning thingy in between it, so that's not a problem. And for the
Oh, okay. So the antenna, you mean?
yeah, yeah,
Oh, I
there's
haven't done that.
yeah, in the power over Ethernet cable, there's a you can put something in that prevents your switch from
Frying.
yeah. And the same thing I hope to do now with the new UPS that's coming, hopefully tomorrow.
I think I'll just let it burn.
Well, I hope it burns when I have the UPS. Then I get some money back.
Yeah, well, or you could buy some new gadgets.
It's probably going to happen anyway.
That's an argument.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but did you do any research before you bought this, or because I pointed to this because it was a 7-in-1 and because it had a fairly modern sensor array.
Yeah.
So this is, if you do not know what it looks like, the weather station itself is sort of, well, it's shaped like a large cone,
Yeah.
and you can put it on top of a mast if you want to, or don't if you don't want to. But
Yeah.
then your measurements will, well, this the
VCQ.
yeah, the reality of your measurements will vary.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, it's when you look at the classic weather stations with the weather the anemometer that is spinning and the
And
or
no,
the
no, no,
point
no matter.
and an anemometer and the arrow that is searching for the direction of the wind, and then you have the little cup that measures the amount of rain that falls, and those always tend to get dirty on the inside and then
Yep.
stop measuring properly. Etc. Etc. So this one is specifically designed around all those problems, so you will
Yep.
not be affected by it, and have that little solar panel on top, so it will
Yep.
recharge itself, and it has a very interesting rain measurement sensor
Yeah.
that
I'm
is
starting to find what's it called because I keep forgetting. It's an haptic rainfall
yeah.
sensor.
So it's based on the fact that drops fall on it,
Yep.
and then give the haptic sensor underneath that senses the amount of drops that fall on it and the size of the drops that fall
Yep.
on it, and based on that, it calculates how much rain has been. Well, first of all, that it rains at all, and then how much rain has
Yep.
been falling for the past. I don't know,
Yeah.
24 hours or so. So that's quite an innovation compared to the old school cups with the flip switch.
Yeah, and for I'm not sure if it's totally new or for Wittboy, Ecowitt it's new, but when you have haptic rain sensors, they tend to be not as accurate or other accurate, not as accurate than the regular one with the cup. So for some situations, Ecowitt tells you if you want very specific things, if you really want to measure how much water fell from the sky, then you might have a separate rain meter next to it.
A classic one.
Yeah, they do have a classic one, and they have a lot of sensors.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's one you have to clean every 6 months or so. Make sure
correctly,
that all the
and change
sand and
batteries
sand
and
and debris and stuff is out. And
yeah. No, I didn't do that because I want, like I said, I want to use it for home automation. So I want to know if it rains now, not
I
how
don't
much
really care how much water falls.
exactly.
Just want
I
to
want
know
to know if
if.
the soil is moist, if
Yeah,
it rains, so
but
the screens can go open, stuff like that.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
if it's a liter or 10 liters, I don't care. Well,
Well,
milliliters.
well, if it's 10 liters, then we will probably have a flood, but that's something different.
Yeah.
Um, I do care about the amount of water that falls in the vegetable garden, and as that is a specific part of the garden, we actually measure that in the inside of that part of the garden, and depending on that, the amount of water that is being irrigated is limited or not irrigated at all. So
Mhm.
for instance, if it would be in the middle of summer, which we sort of just had, and it would be a 1 week of no rain, which we didn't have, then the sensor would not block the irrigation from being triggered.
Yeah.
However, we did have a very wet summer this year, and the amount of rain that fell was quite significant. So it means that the in the vegetable garden, I don't need as much irrigation, so it can just do one in the morning, and that would be it. For instance,
Yeah. But is that based on how much rain
that is
fell
based
or the
on the
moisture?
that is based on the humidity in the soil.
Yeah.
So that's not based on the rainwater metering, but rather the sensor in the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. The same goes for us. It's I want to know when it rains, like when the laundry is um, outside. I want to know that moment when it rains, and not 10 minutes later.
So the one thing that would, and this was the main reason I came out at Ecowitt. Um, my main reason for wanting that weather station is it has a UV sensor. Not a lot of weather stations do not have a UV sensor.
Yeah.
And why is that interesting? Well, my wife is one of the lucky ones with red hair and a very light skin, and it means that she's a. If you are into that, she's a skin type 1, meaning that if the sun is out and it's a UV level 5, she will burn inside of 15 minutes.
Mm.
Um, and based on that, she got our home automation would send her warnings to a smartwatch. Be aware, today the UV is level X, and
Yeah.
if you are outside for longer than X time, you will probably burn. So it's important to use sunscreen.
Mm.
And that really worked well because it's something. And you would say, well, if you are if you've got red hair and a light skin, then you probably, I mean, if you've had that for all your life, you know that when you go outside and the sun is shining, that you'll burn. It's very easy to forget, though, and
Yeah.
I can tell you that it's very painful if you get burned every time. And the not so fun fact is that she can get burned 2-3 times in a row, right? So it's hardly healed, and she goes back into the sun, forgets to use sunscreen again.
Yeah.
She'll get burned again, right? That is for a lot of people, when once they were burned, their skin has some form of resistance. Well, in her case, that is not the case. So
Yeah.
it's important that I have this UV sensor. That
Yeah.
is the main.
Looking at my weather station, I think she shouldn't be outside today at 3 o'clock. Then it was UV5.
Um, could be, yeah. Over here it was raining, so
Oh,
uh,
okay.
and yes, you are right when you say well that obviously will depend upon your location and where you've got your weather sensor
Yeah.
will define if where you measure the UV, and the UV will probably be for that location only. And yes, that
Yeah.
is true, but the it's just on average, today it can be a UV 5, 6, 7, 8 ish. Be aware that you will burn inside of 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was my main reason for selecting the Ecowitt, because it had the UV sensor,
Yeah.
and it had this 7-in-1 station where I was triggered by, okay, that sounds very interesting, because then I would just have to put up one thing with one set of batteries, or well, not even with a set of batteries, and I would get a lot of data.
Yeah. It's a great thing.
Yeah, so I'll probably buy one as well.
Hashtag this is not a commercial, but it's a
No,
great thing.
we're not sponsored. We're not sponsored at all.
No, but
We just talk.
yeah, it's a great thing, and it's not that big. I mean, I'm holding the hands my size of my head. Yes, I got a big head, but the thing is not that big.
It's what, 20 centimeters ish.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. I had a window open. Why did I close it? It's not very big. I mean, if you put it on a pole, like a 2.6 meter pole, I think the pole is more visible than that thing.
Fair point.
Yeah.
I've got a pole on my roof, so I will. Actually the Netatmo sensors are on there right now, so
Mm.
I'll probably put it up there.
Yeah, I first put it just in the garden. It's on a pole about I think 1.6 meters above level. I do want to put it up on the roof of my shed, and I already know which pole I need, but I have to pick it up.
It is not a pretty sight.
Well, and I want to put it there where we can't see it. Our neighbor can, but well, what are you gonna do?
All right, all right, all right. So weather sensors. There we
Yeah,
go.
it's a great, and well, it's a freaking rabbit hole, because if you start using all the weather things, and like you and me, you want to know all about the weather, and you want to see it, and you want to monitor it, and oh, I can measure that as well. Yes, you can, but you need a different sensor for it. Can I connect it? Yes, you can connect it.
Like the lightning sensor. Is that useful? No. Is it fun? Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, well, I was almost going to say Gridfinity for weather stations. It's amazing, and you want everything. I ordered already two soil moisture sensors. I ordered the soil temperature. Why? Well, we want to do something with buck termination, or I'm not sure what you call it. and then the soil needs to be at a maximum of 23 degrees centigrade. That's why it's useful to know the soil temperature. And I do like the lightning sensor. And I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it. Yes, I'm going to buy it.
Probably.
And it's, well, and there's a lot of knowledge and information about it, because you can say I'm going to put the sensor at, like I did, at 1.6 meters, but then you're measuring the ecosystem, your micro ecosystem, at 1.6 meters.
Yeah, you
And
are.
is that correct? Well,
No,
the wind blows and it's tunnels through buildings, and there's a tree before a tree in front of it. That's not correct.
no.
The temperature is lower, etc., etc. So you want to put the wind sensor at, I believe, 10 meters
I think so.
high,
Yeah.
and at least a distance away from all kinds of trees. That
And
there's,
buildings.
yeah.
So
But
basically,
the temperature sensor you want lower, like on 2 or 3 meters.
there you go. There you go. So basically, your 7-in-1 weather station is actually rubbish.
Well, for that purpose, yes. If you want to
If you
do
if you
accurate
want to
measurement,
really really measure, if you want to become a weatherman,
yeah.
don't buy a 7-in-1.
No, we already got one of those here in our village, and he's doing a great job. So I'm not gonna do his job. I just want to use it for my automation, and it
Yeah,
works great
exactly.
for that.
You have to. You have to. That is a very important difference. If you really want to have something that predicts the weather because it's important to you for some reason or other, you're a farmer, or I don't know, maybe you organize events, so you want to make sure that your event doesn't get rained or blown away. Um, this is this is just for fun. This
Yeah.
is not by any means meant to replace a real Weatherman.
No, absolutely not.
It will just give you information about anything that is local, what is happening in and around your home,
Yep.
and maybe in the direct surroundings. But that would basically be it. If you really want to be a weatherman, or at least want to have official readings, there is well, first of all, the equipment is a lot more expensive. Second, there are all kinds of rules and regulations on where to put the different sensors,
Yep.
how high and how low, and in what location, what could be the immediate surroundings. A weather hut does have all kinds of different requirements it has to fulfill to be an official weather hut. There can't be any buildings nearby, or at least not within, I don't know, I think 10 or 15 meters. There cannot be any trees nearby. It has to have a specific construction where the wind can blow through.
Yep.
The
What to do with it.
the rain measuring device is a specific construction, la di da, and it's at
Yep.
a specific height as well from the ground, and the anemometer, the wind meter, is at a specific height and of a specific build, and has a specific propeller on it, so that the measurement is always the same in comparison to the other wind measure sensors that they have, etc., etc., etc. So
Yeah.
forget about doing that if you're not into becoming an official weather person.
Yeah.
This is for fun, right? It is gathering data from stuff that happens around you locally.
Yeah.
And
I do have a question though. I know I got triggered by you telling me about the Ecowitt system.
sorry,
When are you going to order it?
when the batteries of the Netatmo run out.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Yeah, the batteries of the Netatmo are, I think, almost run dry here, like three quarters of a year. And I actually put a Philips Hue sensor outside to do the detection for the solar. So yeah.
All right. All right.
All right, weather. Man, everything is blowing here. Well, with that said, do we have any tips for this week? I mean, I prepped you, so I think you do have something.
I do. I do. I do. Well, it's not so much a tip as a purchase suggestion.
Next to the weather station.
Next to the weather station, well, I mean, if the weather stations can tickle your fancy, or it doesn't. Mean, period. However, this device actually has a significant, well, has a proper use. I very recently bought a filament dryer by a company called Sunlu. There are a lot of little clips on YouTube as well, where a lot of intelligent people did test and compare this filament dry machine to many others and its effectiveness and etc. And yes, you can have all kinds of modifications on these. You can drill it. I think Stefan from CNC Kitchen actually broke it into, or I don't know what he did. He modified it, I think. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because the out-of-the-box functionality is actually fairly good. And what the reason why I'm saying this is I paid, I think, 116 euros, which is not a whole lot. But it made the quality of the filament, or at least the humidity in the filament, so much lower, and it actually meant that I was able to use my TPU again, which I wasn't before. And yes, I know you can dry TPU. You can dry it on the bed of your 3D printer if you are into that. You can dry it in the oven if you are very brave.
Yeah.
But the problem with TPU is that you have to also keep it dry while you're printing. Now that is a challenge, and you can obviously put a box beside it. You know, the cereal box thingies where I think IKEA sells them, where you can put in a spindle of filament and then drill a hole in it and use that. But the only way you would dry that is actually with some kind of silica gel or whatever desiccant you put in there. And this thing actually actively dries the filament with a heating element and a fan, and makes sure that the humidity inside of the box is lower than 30 or 15%. I don't know that one exactly, but it can keep it at that level as well. So I actually have now positioned it next to my my Bamboo Labs printer, because, and this is the wonderful part, it actually has little holes where you can put a Bowden tube in and then guide the filament through the manual inlet of your Bamboo printer. So
Right.
I actually have the TPU roll inside the Sunlu filament dryer, lead it out through the Bowden tube into the manual inlet for the Bamboo Labs printer, and that way I can make use of TPU in a proper way, and it actually works very well.
Cool.
So that is 100% a worthwhile purchase when you want to print with any hydroscopic filaments that you may want to use. And be aware, PETG is also a lover of humidity. So if you have a lot of bad results printing PETG, in terms of stringing, in terms of being brittle, in terms of the filament breaking off, chances are it's a humidity problem.
Okay.
And with this, the result is marvelous.
Where did you order it?
Just online directly from Sunlu,
Ah, okay.
who actually creates it. And they had an offer which they shipped for free, and I think it was 116 or 118 euros, something like that. So, not even 120, and as the shipping was free, it was actually that.
Okay. I'm just clicking at the site. I was just at Amazon, and there are a lot of different, dryers that look like Sunlu, although the description said Sulan. So I'm not sure if you need to buy that, but
So this model is called the S4, which can actually hold 4 complete spindles of filament, which is quite a lot. I've seen a lot that have 1 or 2, but not a lot that actually have 4. Unless I think there are some professional filament dryers as well, but they cost a lot more than 116 euros.
okay.
Um, and it's got a plethora of openings on the top side and on the top and on the side, so you can decide how and where you want to let the filament come out and redirect it to your printer. So yeah, that's I find it a very versatile and very handy device.
I see it's 146
I think that
euros if you don't use the included PLA. You can order it with PLA, 3 kilos, 2 kilos, or 1 kilo. The 3 kilogram with the Sunlu is about 165 euros.
Yeah, if you, well, I had an offer back then without without any filament, just plainly the filament dryer. I think it was about 116, if I recall correctly.
Okay, nice.
So definitely a good tip for anyone who's doing 3D printing and has some issues or wants to print with filament that is very much in love with humidity, like TPU or like PETG,
Yeah.
or like ABS as well. I mean, the only filament that doesn't really care much about humidity is PLA, I think.
Okay.
Other than that, most of them are fairly hygroscopic.
Nice. Oh, free shipping from Germany.
There you go.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry. I got to stop ordering. Well, my tip for today. I love podcasts and I listen to things from, I forgot his name, sorry, about ecological psychology and stuff, why we do the things we do and how we can uh, learn a different way. And that's a pretty quick summary, and I know it's not correct, but I recently started listening to uh, the podcasts from TWiT. I'm not sure if you ever heard of them, but MacBreak Weekly and Windows Weekly. And I drive when I go to one of my customers. It's a 2-hour drive one way, so 2 hours drive back, and it's most of the time it's enough time to listen to the MacBreak Weekly. And since I go on Wednesday, and they put it out on Tuesday evening, it's fresh every time I sit in the car to that customer, and I love it. It's it's a panel of 4 most of the time, and I mean the whole interactivity between the panelists and the host is, I mean it's great. It's great. No, but I really like those kind of podcasts because it's just like what we do, talking back into each other and trying to put in some news. Well, actually, they do all the news surrounding Mac, so I really know now everything they know or read about what Mark Gurman said on what the things will be that Apple will be presenting, and more of that news. So
Oh wow!
it's at TWiT.tv, and they're streaming at 7 platforms. Leo, the host, keeps saying so. Probably you got one of the streaming platforms that you can use it on Twitter, sorry, X, on YouTube, on Telegram for now, and more of these kind of things. So if you're interested in tech news, the podcasts of TWiT.tv, I recommend them.
That actually, This Week in Tech, because that's what TWiT stands for, is a very old podcast.
Yep.
That's one of the first.
Yeah, it's not. I think it's not as old as Anantech, God rest his soul, but they're here for a long time. Yeah, Anantech sadly stopped publishing new articles this week.
That's not Leo Laporte, is it?
Yep, it is.
Oh my God, he's a legend.
Yeah,
He actually is a legend. Yeah,
he is.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a podcast fan, as in I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. But if you don't know Leo, then you've been living under a rock.
Well, I didn't know him, or at least by name.
Speaking of podcasts, we may have a guest the next round.
Yes, we do.
Which actually is a good friend of ours, Vikash from Vikash.nl. Will join us for a Talking Heads episode. Well, actually, more or less like we do now, but then with 3.
Yeah, we can't do anything else, so it's probably going to be the same format.
Yeah, just another talking head added to the mix.
That's gonna be a challenge for us. We both like to talk. He likes to talk. Who's going to talk? We all do.
Who's going to shut up is the more interesting question. Anyway, thank you all for listening or watching.
Yes, and see you and hear you next time.